in the exam. 10 questions. Divided into 2. Section A is 40 marks and it's compulsory. Section B is 60 marks. Answer 5 questions. This one is 40 marks too. Is what? 5 questions. Ten questions to answer mathematics. Section A is compulsory. 1 to 5 compulsory. Answer what? In other words, one question here is how many? 8 marks. One question is how many? 12 marks. Please, for any reason, when you're doing mathematics, always go to section B first. Forget about Y. What did I say? This compulsory is just a distraction. Go to section B first and also your 60 marks. Then you can now come back to section A, whatever you're assigning. Why am I saying that? Because I'm saying that because what if you don't know the question? Will you kill yourself? Who should leave it? So why are you not foolish? It's foolishness. So you go to section B first and answer the 5 questions and get your 60 marks. Someone like me, I'm sure getting 60 over 60. 60 marks. That one is sure. I can have that's why I can get mark. 60 over 60 sure. 60 over 60 sure. Then another section, whatever I know, I do. I do. So already we are already 60 marks, 60 over 100. I did not pass already. Only 5 questions. Only 5 questions have passed. But if you come here and waste your time and do 5 questions before you come to this side, you get maybe 40 over 40, or you have failed. 40 over 100 is failed, true or false. So you have already failed maths. Now, 10 topics you must know. Write it down. 10 topics you must know. Number 1, logarithm. Every year, WASSCE must set this question. Logarithm. In SS1, we taught number, log. This thing must come out. We'll give you something like this. 0.03 raised to the power 1 over 3 divided by 1.14 times 3.012. Solve without using calculator. Number 2 topic. You have to know longitude and latitude. Longitude and latitude. It comes out every year. Have something like this. Find the longitude and what? Latitude. Longitude and what? And latitude. You see, something 10, 5, northwest, east, out, one kind of thing. You go to be a pilot and you don't know this thing. I'm sorry, you have a problem. Number 3, you must know what we call bearing. What did I say? Bearing. Bearing is very, very important. And in bearing, 2 things you need to know in bearing is what? The sine rule and the what? Cosine rule. And here, how do we do this? How do we call SOCA what? SOCA 12. What does this mean? Sine theta is equal to what? Opposite over what? Opposite over what? Hypotenuse. Cos theta is equal to what? Adjacent over what? Tan theta is equal to what? Opposite over what? Over adjacent. You must know these things. did I say? Must. It's must. Must. You can't escape it. It must come out. Number 4 topics you need to know. Fourth topic you need to know is what? Set theory. Somebody say set theory. Where you have to draw what we call the Venn diagram. Venn diagram. You cannot escape it. It must come out. It must come out. Must. What did I say? Must. Number 5. Another topic that we always come at every year in the exam. Sometimes what they used to bring is what they call circle theorem. What's a circle theorem? So okay. Circle theorem. Circle theorem. When you give something like this. And something like this, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here, those kind of things. You have here is 150 theta x, those kind of things. Ask you, circle theorem to come out. Number 6, source or sodic equations. All kind of things to ask you, those kind of sort. So, I'm about 10 topics to know. What I call it? 10 was 10 topics to know. So we are number 6 now. Let's go to number 7. Number 7 topic you must know is graph. What did I say? Graph. Now, graph comes in 3 forms. Number 1 graph you have is the quadratic graph. Quadratic graph. When they give something like this, x squared minus 7x plus 12. Find the roots of the equation using quadratic graph method. Definitely you know what's happening now. There will be a table. Now I'll give you from range of -4, -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and maybe 5. And then you give some alphabet. I say here is 8, here is 9, here is 2, here is 1, here is 8, something like that. You give something like this. And you tell you to find the missing values and also plot this graph and find the roots. That's number 1 graph. Number 2 graph, now come out, is what we call the trigonometric graph. Trigonometric graph. It must come out. Y equals to 3 sine theta plus 2 cos theta, or some say 3 sine x, 3, something like this. So it will give you a variable around all those kind of things. And number 3 is cumulative frequency. So this one looks like this. Something like this. These are the roots of the equation. This one always has something like this. Then we have cumulative frequency. This one Okay, with the frequency or okay. Now we ask questions to find the values and all of that. So this graph, one of these three graphs must come out every year, and then it's 12 marks if they do it. And number 8, we have statistics, which is under this one. We have probability. Probability of that come out. Probability. Something that will always come out. And these are topics that we need to memorize them. But we also have construction. For those of us that don't TD, they'll ask for locus. What's the locus of something? They'll tell you, they'll give you a question, which I just look at. So today, what? GP. That's arithmetic progression or geometric progression. If you want to pass WASSCE, just know these basic 10 topics and you are sure of passing. What did I say? Just know these basic 10 topics and you are sure of passing. See, this guy, yeah, it must come out. Must. What did I say? Must come out. Must come out. This guy, look at attitude. They tell you this. You have something like this. This guy must what? Must come out. This graph, for you that don't like maths too much, if you know this graph, you are sure of how many marks? 12 marks. You are sure of 12 marks. You are sure of 12 marks. And for even answering these tables here, they will give you marks. Now, back to graph. I gave you the graph sheet so that some of us don't know how important this graph is. So I decided to come with the graph sheet. This is a typical WASSCE. This is a typical WASSCE graph sheet. And please, for exam purposes, they say, when you're doing your working, never do your working on the graph. There's a provision for you to do your working, which is this side. And a standard WASSCE question answer, there's another line that comes here. They'll tell you, don't write in these margins. Please, don't write in these words, margins. A standard, this is not a WASSCE graph. I'm just telling you so that you get to understand what I'm saying. So, a WASSCE graph will have this line here, and have another line here. Then you'll say, don't write in this margin. Don't write in this margin. Then the question you are answering, you ask the right question, you bring it to question 7. Let's say what question what? 7. So the examiner knows what you are answering. If you don't tell the examiner that this is for question 7, he might mark you wrong and think this is for question 2. So these are some things that make people fail in the exam hall. So write this is question 7, and question 7 has to do with this graph we are trying to plot. This thing here, this table, you transpose the table here, label it accordingly. If you need to solve your problems here, down, solve your problems here. Every problem you solve in mathematics, they give you mark for it. So you know. And you tabulate and populate the table. Now, when it's time for you to plot the graph, you must be a host. What did I say? Label your axis. What did I say? So, for example, for the quadratic equation, what do we call scale? What did I say? What did I call it? Scale. Every graph has a scale. Scale. So they will tell you sometimes, examiner tell you, make sure that 2 centimeters represent 5 units. 2 centimeters represent what? 5 units. If you measure this box, each box of a graph is what? 2 cm. So if you measure it, let me zoom in. You measure this, you see that this box here is 2 cm. It's 2 cm. And the instructor says 2 cm represents what? How many? 5 units. So that means from here to here means what? 5. Here to here means what? 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. So if you are plotting this graph, for example, here I'll write a scale. 2 centimeters represents what? 5 units. Is it on both axes? So you have to label your x and your y axis. So this one that says from minus 4 to 5. But I start saying here for, I say from here now. This is your negative graph. This side is negative. Negative what? X axis. The vertical is your what? Your y what? Axis. The one under here is your negative what? Y axis. This is your positive what? X axis. So I can tell them that 2 centimeters on this side represents what? 5 units here. So this on my what? Y axis. And 2 centimeters represents 1 unit on my what? X axis, which is the X axis. So the horizontal is your X, the vertical is your Y, and you start plotting based on the values you have from here. Now, for writing this scale, they'll give you mark. For putting Y axis and X axis, they'll give you mark. For putting the values right, they'll give you mark. When you start plotting, maybe you plot here and plot, and plot, and plot, and plot, and you have something like this. Now, for quadratic graphs, wherever your curve cuts the axis is the answer, is the root of the what? Equation. So this is negative. So we know this negative 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here can be 5, 10, 15, 20, depends on what you are doing. And by the time you are finished plotting, you see that the answer here is what? Minus 2 and what? And 3. 3 point something or 3.5 or 4, whatever the answer is. So when you are doing your graph, make sure you label your graph and plot accordingly. And you try and get all the marks. If you don't label your graph, you lose marks. If you don't put a scale, any graph that is scale is not sense. How do I do this formula? AB. The third term of a geometrical progression, the third term of a geometrical progression is 360. And the sixth term is 1215. So we said the third term of a progression is what? Remember, I wrote this formula before. I said AR equals n minus 1. And n stands for the number of what? Terms. A stands for what? First term. R stands for what? The ratio. So n stands for what? Number of what? Terms. A stands for what? First term. And R stands for what? Common ratio. Now, the question is asking us to find the common ratio, find the first term, and find the sum of the first 4 terms. So, they said the third term, that is T3, is equal to what? 360. And the sixth term, T6, is equal to what? 1215. I've told you the third term, and I've told you what? The sixth term. It's n here. Just I said n is number of terms, and I said t. So I've given you s already. I give you these two equations. So you should be able to solve this. The question says they give you the term and the sixth term alone. They say you should find A and find R. So you know that was look at these two equations. You divide equation 1 by equation 2. You have something like this: AR5 over AR2 is equals to what? 115 over 360. By the time you cut these two, you have something like this: R3 equals to divide this thing by divide. Who can help us with this? 3.375. We know that this is the answer. For you to get the answer, you have to do what? The cube root of 3.375. That's the answer. You know, what this thing now, what method do you use to solve this? Who can tell me? This A rules. We are using this R. We have R5 minus what? 2. Because they have the same, they are dividing at the same distance. So it's going to give you R3. That's how we got this R3 here. We are using log. They are using a log method. So 5 minus 2. We are dividing minus. We have R3. That's how we got R3. So whatever you get here, you find the cube root of this. That will give us the answer. Now, if you know R and you're looking for A, already you have solved the problem because you have, now, in this case, we are looking for two unknowns. That's why you are finding two equations. But if you know, once you know R, knowing A will be easy. Because I know R and I'm looking for A. What will be A? A will be 360 divided by what? A will be what? Divided by R squared. Now that will be the answer for A. This is the answer for R. So once I know A, once I know R, I put the value of R and squared and get the answer. Copy the table of values for y equals 5 minus 7x minus 6x squared for minus 3 greater than or equal to x greater or equal to 2. And they give us this table. I'll solve this one for you from scratch from beginning to end, so you will know how to be a hustler in the exam hall. Now, this thing here stands for limits. I'm sure we did inequalities. Yes, that is another topic that will come out. Inequality. Yeah, you know it always comes out. But it always comes out more in the objectives. But we are concentrating now on the theory part for this exam. Theory. I said earlier on that always go to section B. It carries how many marks? 16 marks. And 1% is 12 marks. So if you finish the 5 there, before you now go to the compulsory side. So if you are sure of grade 5 times 12 is 60. Even if you don't do that one at all, you are already sure of passing. Versus doing the 40 and coming back to this one, you'll be wasting your time. So, minus 3 to 2 means you range from minus 3 to 2. So that means you start from what? Minus 3 for x. Value of x. Minus 3, minus 2, minus 1, 0, 1, and 2. But if they say minus 3 to what? Listen, watch. If they say minus 3 to 5, for example, what will happen to it? To continue as say 2, 3, 4, and 5. Who can tell us the values of y? What do we do? So in this case, what is very, very simple. In this case, to find the value of y for minus 3, to find the value of y for minus 3, you say y is equal to 5 minus 7. So wherever you see x, you put minus 3 there. So you put 7 into minus 3, minus 6 into minus 3 squared. Y is equals to what? 5 minus 7 times minus 3. Minus times minus is equals to what? Plus. Let me do this thing. Minus times minus equals to what? Plus times minus equals to what? Minus times plus equals to what? Plus times plus equals to what? Please, don't forget this thing. Never. So, this is giving you minus 7 times x equals to what? Plus what? 21. Now, see, minus 6 squared. 3 squared is equals to what? 9. Minus because minus times minus equals to what? Plus. So this is 9. So you see, minus 6 times 9. So you have 5 plus 21 minus what? 54. Somebody help me with this. 5 plus 21. 26. 54 minus 26 equals to what? Put that direction example. You solve for minus 2, minus 1, all of them. So that I will know that you have a good understanding of it. The big part of the question says using a scale of 2 cm to 1 unit on x-axis and 2 cm to 5 units on y-axis. Draw the graph. Y minus equals to 5 minus 7x minus 6x squared. 2. My y to save our time, let's stop here. Let's stop here. Let's stop at 2. Let's stop at 2 to save our time. Stop here. Look at this one. So that I will do it. I'm sure we will finish. Let's stop there. Let me solve minus 1. Please watch. This thing means wherever you see x, you put minus 1. That's what this means. So let me solve for you now for minus 1. For minus 1, it means y is equals to 5 into y is equals to 5 minus 7 into I'm trying. Okay, let me open a new page. trying to maximize. Please call the question for me. Y is equal to what? 5 minus x minus 6x squared. Now, for the value of minus 1, what do you do? I say you should do what? Whenever you see x equals minus 1, so substitute minus 1 into x. So y equals to 5 minus 7 into minus 1 minus 6 into minus 1 squared. That's what it means. So, if you look at this, it gives us 5 minus times minus equals to what? Plus. This equals to what? Minus 7 times minus 1, which is plus 7. Same thing to here. Minus 1 squared is equals to what? Plus 1. Because minus times minus equals to what? Plus. So, what you have here? So, you have 7 minus 6 into 1. So, you have 5 plus 7 minus 6. 5 plus 7 is equal to what? Minus 6 is equal to what? Answer is 6. So just come here. How many of us got 6? That's just so come here and put what? 6. So for solving these questions, I'm putting the answer in all of this. Why can be giving you marks on all of these things? So if you solve what is it I'm solving now, you solve all these values, this value, you get it here, you get mark for 0. Let us see. What did you get for 0? For 0, whenever I see 0, you just come here and say y equals to 5 plus y equals to 5 plus 7 into 0 minus 6 into 0 squared. So 5 plus 0, because 7 times 0 is equal to what? 0. Minus 0 squared is equal to what? 0. 0 times 6 is equal to what? Mommy, I'm happy to say what? What did you get in minus 2? Eh? What did you get for this? So the question gives us a scale 2 cm to 1 unit on what? X-axis. Remember that your graph, one box represents what? 2 cm. And this is the scale 2 cm represents what? 1 unit on X. Where is the X-axis? The horizontal is the what? X-axis, while the vertical is the what? Y-axis. So it says 2 cm represents 1 unit on the X-axis, and the X-axis starts from minus 3 towards 2. So 2 cm represents what? 1 unit. So that means here we'll start from what? Minus 3, minus 2, minus 1, 0, 1, 2. Did you get that? They said 2 cm represents 1 unit. So that means, first of all, watch. Every graph must have a title, 1 mark. So you write here, the title, what is the title of this graph? No, the graph title is equal to a graph, you write a graph of y equals to 5 minus 7x minus 6x squared. This is the title of the graph. Under the graph, write a scale. See this thing you are doing here? It's called hustle. What did I say? You are hustling for points. So you have to state, as I write, the examiner will be giving you 1 mark, half mark, 1 mark, 1 mark. By the time they add everything together, that's how they form the 12 marks. In maths, it's not final answer, it's 12 marks. So no, they mark your steps. What did I say? So you show all workings. Show all what? So the scale says 2 cm represents 1 unit on x-axis, and 2 cm represents what? 5 units on what? Y-axis. This one, like I said, 2 marks. Just you wrote this thing, you have what? 2 marks. Now, let us plot the graph. The graph for the x-axis starts from what? -3. And this one starts from what? So, your brain has to calculate something. That means on the y-axis, 1 box stands for 5. From here to here is 5. But on the x-axis, from here to here is 1. That's what it means. What did I say? From here, on your y-axis, the vertical, from here to here is what? 5. But from here to here is what? 1. And the largest value you have is what? -33. So that means your negative side is what? Is more. And your positive side is what? Is smaller. So what do we need to do? First of all, get the horizontal side. So the x-axis, I'm starting from up. You know what I'm starting from up? Axis. This is the positive y-axis, the negative what? Y-axis. I'll plot the graph. I'll put the values now. So that means 2 cm represents 5. That means from here to here represents what? 5. So here is -5, -10, -15, -20, -25, -30. Down here is what? -35. Up here means what? 5. Here means what? 10. Watch me what I'm doing. We are plotting this graph. Now, they said when the value of x is -3, what is the value of y? This is -3. Y is what? -28. You come down here. -25. This is -30. So in between these two, that is where 28 falls. The question is, how many boxes make this graph? You count it. Please zoom in. Let's zoom in and see. So from here to here is 5 units. So how many boxes makes this part of the graph? You see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10. So that means 1 box here, 10 boxes. And they said, how do I know where 28 is going to be? So that means 2 boxes represent what? 1 unit. So 2 boxes will give me what? 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. Do we understand? This is what happened. Let me magnify the graph on this paper. Watch me. This is the graph. It has 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So you now plot the graph. Here, from here to here, is 5. So here is 5. Here is 0. Okay, yes. So I'm saying that 2 boxes here, 4. This 2 boxes, this first 2 boxes is 4. This next 2 boxes is what? 3. This next 2 boxes is what? This next 2 boxes is what? 1. And this 2 boxes here. That's what happens there. So 28 is the first 2 boxes 26. Next 2 boxes what? 27. The last 2 boxes what? 28. So 28 falls in between here. So I come to -3 and I plot from minus 3, 28 here means 26, 27, 28. I plot, I do cross, do a cross. Are you watching? Now, the next value says when x is 2, y is minus 5. When x is 2, y is minus 5. So you put here a cross here, where minus 2 and 5 crosses, where they meet, When x is 1, y is what? 6. When x is minus 1, y is 6. I remember I said that 2 boxes stands for what? 1 unit. So 1, 2. So minus 1, I count 1, 2. I plot this graph. When x is 0, y is what? 5. When x is 0, y is 5. So I plot it on this place. When x is 1, y is what? Minus 8. When x is 1, minus 8. Remember I said 2 boxes make what? 1. So this is 6, 7, 8. I plot it here. And when x is 2, y is what? Minus 33. I come down here. This is 31, 32, and 33. I plot it. Can you see the graph? Now you need a broom to join this graph. I'm going to join this graph from here. Look at the shape of the graph. How many of us can see it? Okay, we don't have a broom here, but we have to get a broom where we have a class hall. So our graph will start from here. Watch this. It travels from here, goes here, passes through this place, and comes down. This is the graph. That's why I said it's an N graph. You see the graph? It passes through here. But when you're doing your own graph, please use a broom. It's not my biro. That's why you use a broom to plot the graph. And please don't use biro. Use pencil for your graph work. What did I say? Use pencil for your graph work. Please. Take notes. Don't use it. It's supposed to be a lecture. That's why I'm doing this. So you use. So this is the graph. You see the graph? That's the end graph. 12 marks. Now the question will say something. The question will say plot the graph. So draw the graph. We have drawn the graph. It says line when y is equal to 3 on the same axis. When y is equal to 3 on the same axis. Where is y? This is y axis. When y is equal to 3 is this place between here. So you count here. 1, 2, this is 1, 2, this is 3. When y is equal to 3 on the what? Same axis. What is the same axis? On the x and the y axis. That means this point like this. This is the point where y is equal to 3. What will x be? So you from here you bring it towards down and you look at the value of what x will be. That's what I would ask you. When the line of y equals to 3, this is the line of y equals to 3 on the same axis. On the same axis. So this is. And they ask you a question. Find the roots of the equation. I said earlier on the root of the equation, it is where the two, where the curve cuts on both axes. So that's this is the place. Root 1 and root 2. So we read the value here. Remember I said here, 2 centimeters represents 1 unit. So that means 2 of these, you count it, 1, 2, 3, you need 10 boxes. It's cutting at the 7th box. So that means it's minus 1.7. This place. Minus 1.7. Not what I got here. And on this side, where it cuts here, this is 0. This is 1. I'll now count 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. It cuts here at 0.3. So you write here the roots of the equation is minus 1.7 and 0.3 respectively. Use the graph to find the roots. This same equation, you know, quadratic equation can be solved with how many methods? You can tell me. I will solve with 4 methods. And you find, you have one, the quadratic graph, factorization, almighty formula, completing the square method. Completing the square. So these are formulas about this for this exam. They ask you to plot, use graphical method. This just want to show you how it's done. Finally, they say find the maximum value. What is the maximum value of this? The maximum value is the value that has the highest pitch. This is the maximum value. So you read it with your graph. Remember that 2 represents what? 2 boxes represents was 1. So 1, 2, 3. The maximum value here is what? 8. Write it there. The maximum value of y is equal to what? 8. And you solve the question. Any question? Yeah, you see my own graph. You know, I've been talking stories since. You see my own graph. Remember, first of all, what do? You write the question number. Maybe it's question 7 or question 5. I'm going to write. You write question 7. Write there question 7 on top of your list. So you don't go like that. Remember, every graph must have a title. The title of this graph is a graph of y equals to 5 minus 7x minus 6x squared. Secondly, every graph must have a scale. The scale here is 2 centimeters represents 1 unit on x-axis and 2 centimeters represent 5 units on what? Y-axis. This is very important. You plot, you draw your coordinates, the x and the y-axis, and you assign the values. Remember how to do this. Thank you.
I thank the church for allowing us to do this, and we are trusting God that the efforts that have been put in here will not be a waste.